welcome to the Mid-South Adventures YouTube channel. Today I'm at Old Cemetery, or Old Burying Grounds, sometimes called that, in Gibson County, Tennessee. And we're going to take a look around the cemetery and talk a little bit about some history that's here. The sign out front says that this cemetery was established in 1836, but you go on the website Find a Grave. It's a very useful website for doing genealogy work, and there is a grave that's supposed to be here. It's an unmarked grave. It goes back to 1826, so I don't know how accurate that is, being that it is an unmarked grave. But that would be very early in the history of Gibson County, Tennessee, because Gibson County was formed in 1823 as West Tennessee was opened up to settlement in the 1820s. So. But this is a very old cemetery, and it is an incredible view here. I mean, it's such a peaceful place. This just canopy of trees that you see here. And the amazing thing about it is, you wouldn't believe what this place looked like years ago. First time I ever came here was probably late 1980s, early 1990s. And this place was entirely growed up. I mean, it was a mess. It was not taken care of. It was not maintained. And it was in pretty rough shape. And people have come and since then, in later years, and really done an incredible job of cleaning this place up. And once it was cleaned up, maintaining it. Sometimes people clean up a cemetery and then it's not maintained. It just grows back up over time again. But they've really done a job in keeping this place up. It was, back at that time, it was a problem in that people would come here, young people, teenagers, would come here to party sometimes. And I think that's one reason why the sign out front says no trespassing. But, and there used to be a story that there was any kind of place like this that was old cemetery that was growed up in bad shape, that there was, ghost stories. And there was a story that there was a Civil War soldier, Confederate soldier, that you'd come here at night and find him sitting on a tombstone, and he would tell you he was thirsty and ask you for a drink of water. But, and I'll show you in a little bit, there is a Confederate soldier buried here. I'm sure there's probably more than one, but there is one rather prominent Confederate veteran buried here. Now this right here, I've never really understood what this was. I mean, I don't know if it supposed to have been graves inside all this brickwork. It was like this when I first saw it years ago. It doesn't look like it was ever, I don't know that if it was ever a building. There's, look right there, there's no mortar between those bricks. I don't know. I've never really understood. And anybody familiar with the area that has an idea what this was can, let me know. Because that's always been kind of a puzzle. And this was really sort of another aspect of it when this was growed up that was really kind of spooky. Best I can tell, this may be the last grave here last burial that was done here is in 1956, Ada W. Barker. And next to her, apparently her husband was Alexander Barker, died in 1948. But this, I haven't seen, and I went all through Find a Grave looking at all the burials that are listed there, and I can't find anything that's later than 1956, and really hardly anything close to that date. Most of these graves are from the 1800s and early 1900s. Okay, this is Nelson Adair Cressup. Hope I'm pronouncing the last name right. He was a Confederate veteran, was in the 47th Tennessee Infantry, and was very active in the Confederate veterans. Civil War soldiers had a organization after the war, many years after the war, United Confederate Veterans, and kind of a fraternal organization. And he was very active in the United Confederate Veterans, and he's also a banker and a farmer here in the Humboldt area around here in Humboldt, Tennessee. And apparently when he passed away in 1935, he was I understand, the oldest Confederate veteran still living in this area at that time. Over here, you can see all these, how they've got the stones mounted up over the top of that grave. This is a picture of Lieutenant Cressup. I don't know if you can read this. I'll put the flashlight on it there. This is grave of Robert S. Coleman, born in 1793, and he died in 1858. There's a few people here, I think maybe 3 or 4, or at least 2 or 3, that are buried here that were born in the 1700s. And you don't see a lot of graves here in this part of West Tennessee of people born in the 1700s. You don't see as many because of this part of the state only being open in the 1820s. And I think a lot of people that settled here early on that were perhaps born in the 1800s and passed away, they may be buried in unmarked graves. They might not even be buried in what's seen as a cemetery. They could be buried on whatever home site they had. So you don't see a lot of graves that are marked in this part of the state that the person was born in the 1700s. But here's one in this cemetery that is. There is a lot of Colemans in this area, and my nephew's wife is a Coleman. I'm going to have to ask her if she thinks this might be kin to her. It's kind of unusual how they have these bricks lining around the grave site right there. It's the grave of Reverend E.A. Campbell. And I got the name off of Find a Grave, and I'm going to attempt to pronounce it Aramus Cynthaham Campbell. Not sure where he was a preacher at. He was born 1813 in North Carolina and died in 1883. He's buried here. This is his wife. Let's see. Not sure if this was his. Okay. His first wife, Ann, is buried in, she passed away in 1842. She's buried in Madison County. And this is Margaret K. Morrill Campbell. He married her in 1864. She passed away, and I don't see the death date here, but she was apparently born in Ireland, says so on the tombstone, and arrived here in America in 1843. Here's a photo of Reverend Campbell. It's a photo of Margaret Campbell. This is the monument gravesite for John Gay, born 1798, died 1880. Another one of the ones that were born in the 1700s that is buried here. He is the father of Major William Gay. Was a major in the Confederate Army, and Major William Gay is buried in Trenton, the cemetery there. So Elizabeth Hazelwood, born 1798, died 1883, I believe that is. Another one of the ones here that's born in the 1700s. This is Wilson Rainey, born 1796 and died in 1863. Another one of the ones that was here that was born in the 1700s. I'm going to tell you a story about someone who is supposedly buried here, but it's in an unmarked grave. But it's a very interesting story that I got off of Find a Grave. This is Winifred George Gillum Human. She was born 18th of June, 1754 in Lancaster County, Virginia. Her first husband was Thomas Gillum, and they resided in Virginia before settling in Knox County, Tennessee. Thomas was, he died in May of 1793. In 1797, Winifred married a younger man, much younger man. And apparently her family was not too keen on it. His name was Basil Human. And I guess her family's opposition was well warranted, because he finally left her for a younger woman. He never got a divorce, on Winifred, but he went off with this younger woman and had a family with her, lived with her the rest of their life, his life. So Winifred wound up moving from East Tennessee to Gibson County, where her daughter and son-in-law were already living. And she passed away in 1840. And according to Find a Grave, she's buried in this cemetery, but is apparently in an unmarked grave. I thought that was a rather interesting story there. There's really not much telling how many unmarked graves there are in this cemetery. You can see a lot of open space in between where there are markers. A lot of early history of Gibson County here. McGee's. As I said, this place it's amazing the way it looks now compared to the way it looked 30 years ago. And the people that are keeping it up, you know, really deserve a lot of credit for what they do here. There is over here what I think looks to me like an old road bed. Runs right beside the cemetery, where it looks like it was perhaps sunken down from years of wagons and horses going through here. I could be wrong. I don't think it's really, looks to me like a ditch, like it looks more like an old road bed to me. And it would have headed over toward where the new Shiloh Methodist Church is now. Anyway, if you like this video, be sure and hit the like button. And feel free to subscribe to the channel. You know, we haven't had this channel very long and trying to make it grow, so any help we can get and people subscribing to the channel, you know, really appreciate it. We're trying to cover different interesting things all across the Mid-South. This is the first one we've done on a cemetery, so it's not just covering cemeteries. It's all kinds of different things, different sites and interesting people from the Mid-South area. We've done a video from the Patsy Cline site where she lost her life. Did a video at the New Madrid Museum last week. So feel free to subscribe to the channel, and till next time, so long everyone.